The cafe was no longer just a local hotspot, it had gained recognition across the city. Ade and Amora had worked tirelessly to make Roots and Wings a symbol of community, creativity, and comfort. Their expansion plans were flourishing, but they remained determined to preserve the essence of their business, the personal touch that had made it so successful. One day, as they finalized the deal for a third location, Ade sat back and sighed. "I can't believe we've come this far. It's like a dream." Amora smiled warmly, placing a hand on his. "This was always your dream, Ade. And now, it's ours." But while their business was growing, Ade was still cautious. He didn't want to lose what had made their cafe special. "We need to be careful not to let success change us. We can't let the big business mentality take over." Amora nodded. "We won't. We'll keep it small enough to stay personal, but big enough to make an impact." As their business expanded, the couple knew they needed to start trusting others more. They hired managers for each location, delegated responsibilities, and began to rely on their team. At first, it was difficult for Ade to let go of control, but with Amora's encouragement, he began to realize that they couldn't do everything themselves. "We've built something incredible, but now we need to build a team that can carry it forward," Amora said one evening as they discussed their growing business. Ade knew she was right. It wasn't just about them anymore, it was about creating a sustainable future. "Let's find people who share our vision," he said. And so, they invested in building a strong team, one that cared about the cafe as much as they did. The results were evident in the growing loyalty of their customers and the smooth operation of their expanding locations. The expansion of Roots and Wings also meant more involvement from their families. Ade's father, who had been hesitant about Ade's decision to step away from the family business, now recognized the cafe as a testament to his son's determination and creativity. His father's once sterile view of business had softened, and he began offering guidance and resources in ways that felt supportive rather than controlling. Amora's parents, too, were proud of their daughter's role in the business. They often came by to lend a hand, whether it was managing an event or helping with marketing ideas. Their support gave Ade and Amora the sense of stability they needed to focus on what mattered most, the growth of their family and business. For Ade, the transition from wealthy heir to hands-on entrepreneur had been an emotional journey. While he had shed his former identity, he still found himself wrestling with the remnants of his old life, the expectations, the pressure to succeed, and the haunting fear that he might lose everything. Amora noticed the tension in him. "You're doing great, Ade. You've come so far, but you need to realize that you're not defined by your past. You're doing this on your own." He nodded, a weight lifting from his chest. "I know. I just need to remind myself of that sometimes." They had learned to communicate more openly, their bond growing stronger with every challenge they faced together. Ade had finally realized that success wasn't just about money or fame, it was about doing something meaningful with the people you love. With the success of their cafe business, Ade and Amora began to think about their larger vision. They dreamed of creating a network of community-centered spaces across the city, offering local artists, small business owners, and entrepreneurs a place to thrive. "What if we turn each location into more than just a cafe?" Ade said one night. "What if we create spaces where local creators can gather, showcase their work, and grow?" Amora's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That's brilliant, Ade. A true community hub." And so, they began the process of transforming their cafes into multifunctional spaces. They organized art exhibitions, open mic nights, and even workshops for aspiring business owners. It was a gamble, but one that felt right. As their brand began to grow, Ade and Amora realized the power of collaboration. They reached out to like-minded businesses to form partnerships that could benefit everyone involved. Local farmers began supplying fresh produce for their cafes, while nearby artists showcased their work in the cafe spaces. One of the most impactful partnerships was with a local bakery, whose products complemented their menu perfectly. "It's all about supporting each other," Amora said as they finalized the deal with the bakery owner. Ade smiled, grateful for the direction they had chosen. "Together, we are building something even bigger than just our own business. We are creating a community." But with all the success came new pressures. As they expanded, the complexities of running multiple locations began to strain both Ade and Amora. They were more busy than ever, and there were days when they barely had time to see each other. Amora, feeling the weight of it all, sat down with Ade one evening. "I think we need to take a step back," she said quietly. "We can't keep pushing like this without losing sight of why we started all this in the first place." Ade agreed, understanding her concerns. "We've been so focused on growth, we've forgotten to enjoy the journey. Let's take some time to reconnect, both with each other and with the business itself." They decided to take a week off to recharge. The time away allowed them to reflect on their goals and reminded them of their initial passion. They came back renewed, with a stronger commitment to balancing business and personal life. Ade and Amora reached another personal milestone. He had begun investing in other small businesses and mentoring young entrepreneurs who reminded him of his former self, unsure, but driven by ambition. Ade had once been lost in his wealth and privilege, but now he could offer guidance to others who were starting from scratch. One of his men's, a young woman named Zora, had recently opened her own cafe. She came to Ade for advice, seeking guidance as she navigated the challenges of being a small business owner. "You've made it through the tough times," Ade said to her. "Now, keep going. Don't forget why you started this in the first place." Zora smiled, grateful for his mentorship. "Thank you, Ade. I'll never forget that." Ade and Amora found themselves balancing their roles as parents, business owners, and partners. The responsibilities felt never-ending, but they found joy in their shared goals. Each day was an opportunity to build something more meaningful, both personally and professionally. As their daughter Eve grew older, they made sure to spend more time with her, attending her school events and enjoying family outings. They were determined to be present for her, despite the demands of their business. "We are building this for her too," Amora said one evening as they watched Eva play in the park. "Everything we do for her," Ade agreed, squeezing her hand. "She our future." As Roots and Wings expanded to new cities, Ade and Amora found themselves traveling more often. They were constantly working on new projects, meeting potential investors, and exploring new ways to elevate their brand. But even as they reached new heights of success, they made a promise to each other: they would never forget their roots. One evening, as they stood in the newly opened location of their cafe in a different city, Ade turned to Amora. "We've come a long way from that small shop. But this still feels like home." Amora smiled, her eyes filled with pride. "Because we built it with our hearts. And that's something no one can take away." But with all their success came the arrival of the greatest gift of all, a second child. Their son, Elijah, was born a year after Eva, and the family dynamic shifted once more. The couple was overjoyed, knowing that they were building something that would last for generations. "This is everything we've worked for," Ade whispered, looking at their two children. Amora nodded, tears in her eyes. "And it's just the beginning." One quiet evening, after closing the cafe and putting the children to bed, Ade and Amora sat on the porch of their home. They had come so far, and yet, it still felt like there was so much more to do. "We've built something incredible," Amora said softly. "But what matters most is that we built it together." Ade smiled, pulling her close. "And we'll keep building. Together." As they looked ahead, Ade and Amora saw endless possibilities. Their businesses were thriving, their family was growing, and their love was stronger than ever. The future was uncertain, but they were ready for whatever came next. "We've created something that will last," Ode said, gazing at their 2 children playing in the yard. Amara smiled. "And we'll keep building on it every day." Years passed, and Ode and Amora continued to build their legacy, not just in business, but in the lives they touched. Roots and Wings became more than just a brand, it became a symbol of hope, community, and the power of perseverance. Their children, Eva and Elijah, grew up knowing the importance of hard work, love, and integrity. They carried the lessons their parents had taught them into their own lives, ensuring that the legacy of love and determination would continue for generations. As Ode stood in the now bustling cafe, watching the new generation of customers enjoying their coffee and art, he realized how far he had come. He had started with a desire to test people's true nature, to understand who he really was outside of his wealth. But what he had found was so much more, a love that transcended everything. Looking at Amora by his side, Ode knew that their journey had come full circle. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: together, they could face anything. And as they embraced, surrounded by the warmth of their cafe, Ode realized that love, true love, had been the greatest discovery of all. Please do well to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos and turn on your notification button. If you have any idea, leave it at the comment section.